It's your boy Millz.
It's your boy Shann.
It's your boy Mus.
Here we go.
God, is that the Faces of the Future? Welcome to episode 99 of the Faces of the Future podcast. It's your boy Millz.
It's your boy Shann.
It's your boy, man. So Mus, what's good? What's
Mansa.
good? What's good?
What's good?
Mansa.
Before we get into it, though, you know what I'm saying, before we catch up on everything, we got a special guest for y'all. I mean, we had him on the pod a little earlier, a few seasons ago. We did a virtual one, but we're live in person. We had to get the live one.
We in person.
You feel me?
Yes, sir.
We here. I'm calling him the future of Philadelphia, the future of the creative.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Mr. Forbes 30, under 30.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Got some new deals we're gonna talk about.
Let's talk
You
about
feel
it.
me?
Yes,
We gonna
sir.
get to it not yet. But
Plug
if you don't know who we talking about, we're talking about the one and only co-founder of Rec Philly, Mr. Will Times. Man, how you doing today, brother?
Yo, I'm blessed up, Myles. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know you was setting a tone like that. You
feel
got the
me?
energy right.
We got to get to it. We got to get to it, man. What we normally do before we get into conversation, discussion, you know what I'm saying? We catch up. We see how we're doing. Normally, we normally talk. You feel me? We're going to get right into it. So what you guys been up to, man? What you guys been up to?
Like I said every week, on the road to 100 episodes, man.
So we got one more left.
Road to 100.
What about you, Mus? What you been up to?
Nah, it's been cooling. Just been trying to plot, trying to make my next move and stuff like that. Trying to get some things off the ground now. So next year, I think that obviously the cameras we're looking at, we definitely gonna upgrade them.
Okay.
There's a couple things that I want to start doing now. So
Nah, definitely. Will, what about you, man? What you been up to of late?
Yo, I'm cooling, man. I'm blessed up. I'm traveling a lot these days. Actually, I'm flying out in the morning.
Yeah.
About to go to Michigan. But yeah, everything is everything, man. I'm at a point of just appreciating the fact that I'm living in the prayers that we was throwing up a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So
facts.
I feel good.
Speaking of living like in the prayers and things of that nature, like I can imagine. Let's take it back to the first time we discussed. We had the virtual conversation. We were talking about all the things that were to come for Rec.
Yeah.
If you remember, and it's like to see all that stuff manifest. How does it feel like being in the prayers that you talk about, the manifestation that you talk about, and to be in that moment, this moment in time?
Man, it feels good. I keep using this word blessed, man, but really like that's how it feels. Like it's a blessing to, dream it up, right? Write it down and wrangle the team around the vision. But it's a whole nother thing to look back and be like, dang, we did what we set out to do. Yep. You know what I mean? And I think that it feels so good because not only did we do what we set out to do, but it set us up in a way that now it's like the sky is the limit for where we can go from here because of the diligence that we use while building this foundation. And then outside of that, man, I feel like, I'm sure we're going to talk about the deal and stuff like that, but a part of me feels like I just got to the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We now
Facts.
doing what we do at the highest level, you know what I mean? And that requires another gear, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially for Dave and I, but for our whole team for real. So now it's like, all right, we made it to the Olympics, but now it's time to bring home the gold.
Yeah, I mean, so as you say that, right, I got to know. So, like, do you ever have those moments, or how often do you have those moments where you sit back and you're just like, man, look how far we came from where we started to what we built up to what we have planned for the future? You ever just sit that back sometimes and just be like, man, what a journey?
Often, bro, real talk. Because honestly, I think like me reflecting on it as often as I do is what gives me the gratitude to keep going. You know what I mean? It's been a 8-year journey so far. We started Rec in 2015, but really have been doing this work since 2012. So like when they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, like we are right on time with that. You know what I mean? But for me, like even days when I walk into Rec and I might be the first person there, I'm turning on the lights and I still got my do-rag on. Like I don't let those, I don't skip over those moments because like those are the ones that's really like, yo, I really am one of the owners of this amazing space. And when I get to engage with members and I see what they're doing with what we've built, it's like, this is crazy.
Right.
You know?
Can we go into that? Because I have to give you your flowers individually. Because
Go ahead, man. Do that.
So I started. I'm big on spoken word. So
Okay.
For me, I went to a Rudy Francisco show in Philadelphia, and I was talking to him like, yo, like I don't know, like take social media out of it. Do you feel like the era of spoken word kind of like dissipated? And so for me, it was like, nah, it's not that. It's just a lot of people have more availability. And I was having a conversation with him, and that was after I went to your Voices and Poets at Rec
Voices
Philly.
and Power,
Yeah, Voices and Power. And
Yep.
for me, like, I thought it was really interesting because I was wondering, because they used to have a whole bunch of open mics, whether if it's in New York, Philly, all of that, and it kind of like the hype kind of died down.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated about you is that you cultivated a culture, and it kind of expanded really quickly. Like at first, it was for like a couple months. It was like, okay, yeah, you guys got open mics. Now you got Shade of Poet doing stuff in New York. You got people doing stuff in Houston, Florida. And I just want to give you your flowers because that era, I think there was like, for me, I don't want to go into poetry, all that stuff, but for me, like, I think that having that era and having spoken word back here, like just in general, it kind of brings a different kind of culture to the art field just in general, you know? So I think that, like, I just want to give you your flowers for that. And I wanted to know, and honestly, for me, I just wanted to know, like, what gave you the idea to kind of do that? Like, was that something that you had in the back of your mind? Was that something that was presented to you? Like, I just wanted to know off the top of your head.
Like specifically to the poetry open mic?
Yeah.
So I can't take credit for that, man. So the poetry open mic Voices in Power is actually the project of one of our members, right? Which I think is even more exciting for me.
Yeah.
So shout out Luis Marrero, Voices in Power.
He's amazing.
Like he's been doing Voices in Power probably just as long as we've been doing Rec, if not longer.
Wow.
So for him to come into our community, you know, understand what we was doing, understand our energy, fit right in there, and then say, yo, this is the place where I want to do Voices in Power.
Yeah.
You know, when he had came to Rec, I think he was already in year 7 or something like that. But they just recently celebrated, I believe it was their 10th year.
Yeah.
So it's like once he found Rec, you know, and this is something that he said a few times, like, it worked so well because energetically we were after the same experience for what we wanted to create for folks.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you know, fortunately for him as a creator, him and Rec was such a great fit because it was like he already knew exactly what he needed, and he knew that he did an incredible job at what he does.
Yeah.
But for him, the biggest challenge with growing Voices in Power was he never had a venue where like they were going to consistently give him that experience he needed.
Yeah.
People were actually like willing to be helpful and going above and beyond, again, to make sure that the end experience for whoever came was what it needed to be.
Yep.
So once he found Rec, he was like, yo, this is the dream come true because y'all got everything I need.
Facts.
And I think we gave him the consistency and the structure in Philly that allowed him to grow to other cities. So I really look at Lewis as like the ideal member, someone who knows what they're up to and just needs the right resources and that teamwork camaraderie, and they could just, you know, use that as a springboard.
Because he definitely skyrocketed. Because I was like, because I went, the first time I went was in May. And then obviously the TikTok started blowing up, and I saw like it went nuts. And I'm like, all right, like this is awesome. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, yeah, now we're going to New York, we're going to Houston. I'm like, damn, he moved. Like it's
and
almost,
Miami,
yeah. I guess I could say for that, it's one of those things where, like you said, everything kind of just worked together because everything was really seamless, and you guys wanted the same thing. So
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but you know that's our whole thing at Rec. Like our whole mantra is independent doesn't mean alone. You know what I mean? So like I think sometimes what gets in our way as creatives is this idea that like I got to do it all by myself. It's just me out here, and it's like I get it.
Yeah.
And in the beginning that's cool, but at the end of the day, it's like we really should be thinking about specializing and being like, yo, what is my magic? How do I do the best I could do at what I do? And let's find the other people who are like-minded to be able to collaborate with, because, you know, if you want to go far, you got to go together.
Nah, facts. And to piggyback off that statement there, I know you say like a lot of people, they want to go far alone. They think they can do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
How as Rec, as not just yourself but a community, as a staff, how do you build that trust with creatives to allow them to trust you to help them take their creative to the next level? Because, you know, with all the independence talk going on, the climate of what entrepreneurship is now, what creative is, like people don't really trust others to help them with the creative without maybe taking it from them, stealing their ideas. So how do you build that trust in your community and allow the creatives in your community to excel?
That's a great question. And I think even just like the fact that you're spotlighting how important the trust piece is just super dope. Because for real, I don't think people think about it like this, but everything in business is about trust. Yep. You know, we rarely want to give money to people who we don't trust, right?
Absolutely.
So I think first, consistency is the best way to build trust, right? Like not in the sense of, and you probably heard me talk about this, but like not in the sense of like, yo, are y'all doing the same things over and over again? But consistency in the standpoint of like who you say that you are, do you show up that way in every different way that we communicate, right? So for example, we might say independent doesn't mean alone, But when you're in the space, do you feel that vibe?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And when you go on our website, do you see the faces, right? Like when you experience all of the different ways we communicate, like, are we really staying true to that collaborative idea? And I think we do a good job of that. So it's like, one, when people show up and they experience it, it's like, dang, like, is everybody really this nice? Like, it's almost like it takes you back, you know? But that's just how pure, like, my spirit is, our team spirit is, and the community, I think, responds to that. Like, I think in any community and any team and any culture, like, the leaders set the tone, and that's for better and for worse.
That's facts.
You know, so I think, like, Dave and I did a good job in the beginning of saying, yeah, we have this idea and this vision, but, like, anyone on our team, this is an us thing. This is a we thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because we move like that, it's easy for our members to pick up on it. So because our members pick up on it, new members who walk in and even people who are just touring, they're like, oh, y'all on some other shit over here. This is where it's at.
Facts.
So my next question would be, because, I mean, you guys just talked about trust. Trust is obviously everything in any relationship, friendship, whatever it is. How important is it for you as someone and your partner to have people around you that you can trust, right? You want to surround yourself with like-minded people. So how important is that aspect of not just you and your partner, but the people you trust around you to also be on the same page?
I think that's everything, man. I'm one of those guys that I deeply believe in the power of environment. And that's in, like, physical space, but also in, like, the people and the energy you surround yourself with. So, like, because we're creatives, I think the importance of trust in the people around you is even more heightened. Yeah. You know, because, like, we creatives, we sensitive about our shit.
For
right?
sure, 100%.
So, like, on those off days where it's like, yo, I got this crazy idea, but I'm not quite sure about it. If I trust y'all as my team, then it's like I could share the half-baked idea, right? But if I don't have that level of trust, then I got to make sure it's buttoned up and I's is dotted, T's is crossed. But, like, we all know that's not really how the creative process works.
At all.
Yeah. You know, that perfectionism is actually, like, what kills most ideas. So I think, like, that trust idea is dumb important. So, like, when it comes to us, how we hire and even how we let people go, if that ever has to happen, we do that based on core values. You know what I mean? And we have just a handful of core values at Rec, but things like, yo, are you first and foremost connected to the mission, right, of what we're doing? I don't care how talented you are, how skilled you are, but do you know why we exist, and is that your DNA? And then second, like, are you a positive team player? Like, are you the type of person who is going to leave the second, you know, the thing is over? Or are you the person who's going to be trying to figure out how to go above and beyond and make somebody else's tomorrow easier because you decided to get this thing done, right? That builds trust and all that. So for us, like, the staff has to be in a trusting environment, but even our partners and our investors, we got to trust them. You know what I mean? Because we're at a point now where, you know, fortunately people want to invest in Rec and do that, but, like, it'd be easy to take the wrong person's money, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they want to steer the ship in a way that we not destined to go, you know? Sure. So I think trust is honestly everything, and the higher you go, the more potent and the more important trust is, because I think it all compounds. You know what I mean?
Have you found it harder to trust people the more and more you go Rec?
Like, in business or in life?
In both. Because I think they go hand in hand. I mean, and it's an important thing. I mean, I'm sure you know, maybe you might have a lot of people that are pulling from you in all different directions. You know what I mean? So does that kind of make it harder for you to maybe let your guard down?
Yeah, I'll say it this way. I think as the success is compounding, my discernment has had to get stronger.
Right.
You feel me? So, like, and that's just because the visibility increases. So, yeah, there's more people grabbing at you. More people say, yo, I got this idea, right?
Right.
More people want to collab, but really they just want your services.
Right.
Right. You know, all of that stuff comes up.
Collab. That's funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody be like, yo, bro, let's collab. But it's really like,
the collab is really just, let me just use you for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Just repost my story real quick, Will.
It's like, come on, I got rates.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
I got respect.
Yeah, I mean, but I do think the trust, the discernment has had to kind of get stronger. And then, you know, it's just a human nature thing, right? When you see something in motion, you see people winning, that allows people to gravitate. And you got to be real. Not everyone has the real pure intentions.
Yeah.
So you got to move like that. And that's like in business, that's in dating, that's in, oh, you want to just link in and hang out?
Yeah.
Why though, right?
Like, facts, like, what's the motive behind what you're trying to do?
So I guess, like, I guess another question is, for somebody who's probably looking at you as a role model and wants to have a team and wants to build that same network that you have, what would you say are some key things to look for to see that someone is trustworthy in your field? You know, so that's how when they come into your space, you know, or when they're trying to build space, you know,
y'all got fire questions. All right, I'm in this, man. So I think the biggest thing, if you really want to see if someone's trustworthy, is one, do the words match the actions?
Yeah,
you know, the words are the easiest things to give, you know, and especially as creatives, right? Especially if you're a creative, you're a visionary, you got big visions, you want to share that stuff, but it's like, what people I think forget is like the best tail sign of like your future performance is your past performance.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's just like, yo, well, if you saying you're going to go do this, well, what did you say last year that you was going to do that you actually did? Right? Because that gives me an indicator of your character. So I would say, did the person's last words match up with their actions? 2, what do other people say about them? You know, before we take anybody's money from an investment standpoint, before we even take a big contract, we do our due diligence and go say, okay, well, what else did you invest in? Because I want to go talk to those founders and ask about their experience working with you. You know what I mean? Like, so I think checking in with other people is always a gem that's overlooked sometimes. And then if I had to just throw something else in there for vetting people that are trustworthy, you know, for me, like, at the end of the day, like, it's an energy thing.
Facts.
You feel it, right?
You feel it. I really believe that you just feel it. And, like, sometimes our gut is smarter than our brains. But, like,
absolutely,
if you with somebody and your stomach is upside down and you don't know why, you should get out of there.
Definitely. Before we jump into the deal and stuff like that, I want to touch on your book. I want to touch on Uncommon Sense.
Let's do it.
I was there for. I seen the journey from like what happened, but I want to talk about what it was like releasing your first book.
Yep.
And then before we get to that, just the process of from the start to actually the actual release, the event, and all that stuff.
Okay.
So from the beginning, how did you even come with the idea? I want to release a book. What was the motive? What was the mission behind authoring this?
Word. So I always say, like, this book kind of found me. You know, I didn't really, like, I wasn't just sitting around being like, yo, one day I'm gonna be an author. Like, I never really thought about it that way. I always enjoyed writing, and I was told I was decently good at it. But the reason I actually wrote this book, it was kind of selfish. It was selfish, but also, like, because I love my people at the same exact time. And what I mean by that is I've had the opportunity to work with so many creatives, and, like, over these last almost decade of working with Rec, it's been creatives of all different backgrounds, all different skill sets, and even, like, all different places in their journey. And when I was working hand to hand with so many folks, I realized I kept getting asked the same exact questions, right? Everyone was like, yo, I'm building a brand. I need to understand how to build a more powerful brand. Or I'm trying to figure out what my revenue stream should be. Or I'm trying to figure out how to build a team or how to protect my intellectual property. And over time, I'm like, dang, you asked me that, and I literally just had this convo yesterday, right? So then selfishly, I'm like, all right, the next person who asks me about this topic, I'm going to ask them if I could document the conversation. Mm-hmm. So literally I started having folks just allow me to record the convo we were having, and then after that I could transcribe it, so now it's in written form. And over time, I ended up having 7 or 8 of these kind of essentially like the foundation of chapters. And I was like, dang, if I just add 1 or 2 more, like this is literally the blueprint for how someone turns their passion into a profitable business.
Absolutely.
And from there, I was like, this is literally everything I wish a creative knew, but most times doesn't know, right?
Absolutely.
And that was where I got the inspiration for the name Uncommon Sense.
Yeah, great
right?
title, by the way.
Thank you.
Great title.
Thank you. So it's Uncommon Sense, your strategy guide to creative freedom. And I'm a nerd, so there's a whole nother double meaning to that, the title as well, which we can get into if y'all want.
For sure.
Yeah? All right. So,
sure.
So Uncommon Sense came from, it was everything I wish creatives knew, but most likely didn't. But the second reason I called it that is because, so I'm from Philly, and Philly is literally like the birthplace of freedom.
Yep.
Right? The Declaration of Independence was signed here.
That's right.
And what most people don't know is before that was signed here in Philadelphia in 1776, in 1775, this guy named Thomas Paine dropped a book called Common Sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, my guy.
Yeah.
Right? So he dropped that book, and the book was all about the importance of why America needed to get its independence from England. Right? Yo, we out here doing what we do. We don't need to be paying taxes all crazy. They taking all our money. Really, we could be one unit that could be independent, and then we could change the course of our future, right?
Yeah.
So he wrote that book called Common Sense, which inspired the revolution. And I personally believe that, like, as creatives, we are literally right at the beginning of a whole renaissance and creative revolution for how we monetize our own passions and gifts. So for me, I love to be able to kind of double down on that and Uncommon Sense was born.
That's great.
Shout out to Philly, baby.
I have a left field question.
Philly,
now,
we here. What's up?
Since you brought it up, so
Let's do it. And I'm a nerd, so I'm gonna be, I got
I am too.
rants and stuff.
I'm a big nerd too. So I have a very weird theory that I brought to the guys last week. So the theory that I had was I think that I'll start it like this. I think that politically, what we see, I think that the culture shows a complete opposite of that, right?
Okay, break that down.
So let's look at the Trump election, and I'm gonna lead somewhere with this. So look at the Trump. So look at the Trump. So with the Trump
Miles,
election,
where you going?
You didn't got that boy going now, Will. You didn't got
go.
him.
I love it.
I'm trying to see where you see me look. I'm like, where you go? Like,
You didn't got him started
So
now.
we saw the Trump. So we saw the Trump election, but you saw the culture, right?
Yeah.
It was a lot more liberal. Everybody wanted the freedom to do what they wanted, right?
Yeah.
As you saw, now we have somebody who's about being liberal. We kind of see a lot of things happening in a creative space.
Yeah.
My theory that I've been running around with in the music industry, I was saying this. It doesn't make sense that people like Chris Brown are not doing well with their album sales. YG, Nicki Minaj, all the superstars of like the music industry are not doing well.
Mm.
And then also, I don't know if you've heard about what's going on with Warner Brothers and how they're going into Discover, right?
Now tell me about it.
So basically, in short, Warner Brothers is getting how do I say this? They're getting bought in by Discover Plus. So the streaming of HBO Max, all that stuff is going into Discover Plus. They're taking out all these streaming shows, and they took down Studio 13, was a really, really big studio for creative writers to have a pipeline to have their shows and writers on major shows.
Got it.
I say this to say, because of that, you see that happening, and there's a lot of like people trying to shut down the I guess the liberal mindset of that thing, right? And so why I said that what you said was really important was that now I see that there's going to be a bigger need for creatives and influencers, right? Yeah. And so why I think what you said was really important, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on it, was I think that, because I saw Gary Vaynerchuk video today, of there's going to be a cross between culture and like content creation, and in a sense of like it's going to bring in a lot of like content making. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I got you. I'm with you though.
So it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that in this, with how streaming platforms, that's what it was, streaming platforms, content, and culture, I think it's all going to be in this weird space where now people have to be influencers in one way, shape, or another to do something in order to, say, influence a political climate or to switch certain things. So I don't know your thoughts on it.
Sure.
I wanted to see your thoughts on it. It was kind of left field, but I wanted to know your thoughts.
I got
as
you.
it.
So the one thing I would throw into what you're saying, right, is you're talking about the idea of like, you said content, right? What was the other ones you said?
Content, culture, streaming platforms, and
so I would put content, culture, and then I would also throw commerce in there because that's really what it's all about. And like, it's just important that when we talk about the creative industry, the history of it has always been about how we can drive advertising dollars.
Yep.
Right? Like literally, like I saw someone say this the other day. They were like, people think that they got all these commercials in between the songs on the radio, but for real, it's the music, the songs are what's happening between the ads, right?
Yep, exactly.
So when we think about like the streaming era now, it's just a new way for the advertising industry to take advantage of music. But to your question around, if I want to create and influence actual change, do I need to be an influencer to do it? I think partially so, and I think you can have whatever relationship to being an influencer that you want. Yeah. But I think if you disrespect, one, the opportunity you have to literally get on your phone and talk to everyone in the world, you're just going to set yourself up to have a harder time. Yeah. So, for example, like for me, I was one of those guys where like, I host a lot of the things we do at Rec, and like you might see my face out now, but like 3 and 4 years ago, I was not posting that much. Because I personally don't care to be out front. I personally don't care to be an influencer. Yeah. But I had to sit with myself and just be honest and be like, yo, well, if I know that I want to grow my business, if I know that my business is a cultural business, one, people got to see the person behind the model.
For sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like people like brands, but people like people more than anything. Right. So there's going to be people who will be like, oh, I heard about Rec, but like who's behind it, right? So if I wanted my company to be successful, I had to get out there. And then the second thing was like, if I need to raise capital and I need to be able to find these people who can invest in my business and help me grow it, I got to know people.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the best possible way to know people at scale is to have them know you because you've been consistently posting content. So if getting a clear message and consistently posting content to I guess like galvanize your community makes you an influencer, then anyone who actually wants to see the world move forward, you better become an influencer.
Yeah, that's true.
I was
Awesome.
because I was gonna even ask, because I was gonna say, what do you think the difference is between an influencer and a person who has influence? Because I feel like when you dropped your book, I feel like you're somebody that has influence. You're not necessarily trying to be an influencer, but you've cultivated that community, that ecosystem where anytime you speak or anytime you drop something, people are gonna listen or buy whatever you're putting out there. So I mean, what do you feel like that separation is, or that line in the sand?
That's a good question. I kind of want to think about that for a second.
Go ahead, think about it.
Because I really do believe there's a huge difference. Look, I mean, without thinking about it too much, the way I kind of interpret it is like, to me, influencers are in the business of getting people to do stuff because they said so, right? Which I think is way different than a person who has influence, where it's like, for real, I'm just doing me because this is what I believe and this is my message and the way I live my life, and I want people to see it and know it exists because it could be valuable. But at the end of the day, I don't care if you take it or not. That's different to me than an influencer. Like, I think someone who has influence is more like an artist, where it's like, this is where I'm at, and I want the world to know where I'm at, but it's different than like a salesman, right? I think of a person of influence to an influencer as the same thing as an artist to a salesman.
That makes sense.
That makes good sense. Because I think, like, to base off of it, I kind of look at it too as like, I would say influencers are kind of like, they're independent ad agencies in a sense.
Boom, well said.
You know
Absolutely
what I mean?
Well said.
And then when you look at somebody who has influence, it's kind of one of those people, like you said, it's just like, I'm here. It's just I don't like this because of what I believe in. And if people believe in what you believe in enough, it's like, all right, cool, F it, you know?
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's exciting about this whole space right now, because, like, I'll put it this way. What I think my opportunity is, right, in this influencer space, because I'm at the point where I just cracked 10,000 followers.
You got the 10K? We just trying to
we out here
10K
literally like 2 days ago, you know what I'm
poppy.
saying?
Let's go.
So I just broke that
That's
10K
major.
threshold. But like, I've already been out here getting some of these brand bags, right?
Yeah.
That I feel like, at least back then, I thought, oh, well, this is only for the people who got 100,000 followers and this and that. But the reason I think I can get these brand deals early is because what you mentioned, it's like they know I have real influence, right? It's not like I got just numbers. It's like, nah, people really listen to what I have to say. And what I think separates me is there's a lot of people out here who just talk about building a business, right? And they make a lot of money teaching other people how to build a business. But if you look under the hood and you're like, well, what is their actual business? You start to realize their business is teaching people the business, right?
Yep.
And that's a whole different thing than like, yo, you could look at my track record. You can see that I got 22 full-time employees and a profitable model that's actually growing, right? So I think that separates me, and I think that's one of those things that's exciting, because it's like there's a lot of people who are quietly crushing the game.
I know a lot of that's
Right?
facts. That's facts.
And there's a lot of people who are loudly doing nothing. And I think if we can convince some of the people who are quietly crushing it to really just say, yo, it's my responsibility to get out here and show the youth how it can really look out here,
Facts.
I think the culture changes.
That's a fact.
So,
Yeah, so you talked about like not being active on your Instagram and having to become more active on that. We all work in the fields where networking is
and I was
pivotal
hiding,
to what
for
we
real,
do.
To be honest, I was hiding.
So networking is a big deal. I don't think that the older generation really understands it the way that ours does.
No, they can't.
So if you could just talk about the importance of your network and how much you want to expand your network and how much it can make or break your company, so to say.
Oh, man. Networking is everything. And I'll say this to your point. I think the older generation understood relationship building better than we do.
Yeah.
But networking is just something that's just completely changed literally because of technology.
Right.
Right. So, for example, when we started to really make moves to expand, the very first trip that we took to Miami, we were able to get walked into the mayor's office, right? And literally sit down with, Mayor Suarez's staff. And literally they're like, yo, what do y'all need, to be able to bring this model to Miami? We're like, yo, we need investors. We need property owners. We need to know where all the artists is at and the community builders. And Bull just literally, and shout out to our guy Saif down there, he literally just started FaceTiming people. It was like, yo, I'm with the Rec Philly guys. It's an amazing model coming to Miami, yada, yada. Long story short, one of the people he introduced us to is now, we helped us get the building that we got. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And the only reason we got walked into the mayor's office is because of Twitter. Right? And that's just a thing that our parents, it's hard for them to understand that, right?
Right.
So when I'm at the dinner table on my phone and my grandmother's like, why are you always on that phone? And I'm like,
I'm making moves.
there's money out here.
Yeah,
John.
I'm making moves.
They don't understand that. They
Yeah.
don't understand that at all.
But I think that whole networking piece, man, like it's cliche as can be, but your net worth is your network.
And is it also important to never burn your bridges?
Oh,
Let's talk about that because I feel like things come full circle. Because I feel like one day somebody here can be, your equal, then the next day they're the regional director of a company that you're trying to come work for. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. So my personal opinion is you gotta really like preserve those relationships. And I don't mean to say it this way because I think there's certain people you just don't align with. Y'all not in the same heart space and like the values don't match. So draw your boundaries, right? Don't let people walk over you and just salvage relations for the sake of it. But unless it's real serious, there's no sense in burning bridges.
Absolutely.
Because people grow, you know what I mean? And they say you're going to see the same people on the way up that you see on the way down, So the higher and higher I go, man, the more and more I realize that, like, you really never, ever know who is going to be a decision maker in a room that you need the decision to go your way.
Absolutely.
And I have things popping in my mind where I'm like, dang, I didn't even expect you to be here.
Right.
But I'm glad when we was still in the warehouse, I did you right. You know what I'm
Because,
saying?
you feel like we're all connected in one way, shape, form, or another, especially with now the power of like LinkedIn and like social media. Everybody, somebody knows a bunch of other people that knows a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So we're all connected in one way or another. So I think that's important to never burn those bridges because you never know. Somebody might be your boss one day.
That's a fact. And like I have one just funny story, right? I'll never forget this, and I think this is a good lesson for any entrepreneur. I'll never forget we were throwing a show at it was a nightclub in the city called Coda. Yep, and we threw a dope ass party. I forget which one it was, but we had a run where we were throwing parties there. We had a sold out show at P&B Rock, RIP. We had a joint with Yes Jules back when Yes Jules was first popping off. Yes. And and we did a joint with Charlie Heat there too, which was fire. Charlie. I forget which of the events, but I'll never forget there was this chick. Her name is Erin Simon. Okay. She pulled up and she was just trying to do media. She's like, "Yo, I drove here from like hours away. I forget. It was like New York or Boston. And I'm in my bag. We running around, putting fires out, like how you do when you throw in a party. And she's like, yo, but it's me and my photographer. Like, we just want to be here. We heard the show's going to be lit. Like, I want to cover it. I don't need to get paid or nothing, but, like, I just need to get in. And it was at that time in the event where it's, like, everybody and their mom trying to finesse, get inside. And I never forget because I knew that, like, if I fought for it, I could have made sure she got in and went back to my night. But I wasn't feeling it. Yeah. And in that moment, I'm like, yo, I don't know you. I'm sorry, but, like, I can't do nothing for you. Uh-huh. So I turned her away. And literally, like, she is one of the leaders in women in the gaming space out here crushing it, getting deals with all sorts of brands, like, top tier. And now it's, like, weird because it's like, yo, she knows that I could have looked out and I didn't. Yeah. And now I got to just hold that, right? And now I want to do stuff in the gaming space and this and that. I want her to be on panels. And it's not that I can't, right? But it's just a real thing where it's like, yo, we're all humans. Yeah. And I think the cliche thing is people never going to remember all the details, but they're never going to forget how you made them feel.
Right.
And I know that in that moment, I had an opportunity to make her feel special, take care of her and her friend, but I didn't. And now I just got to hold that. So now my whole MO is like, nah, I'm looking out. Like, I'm going to do everything in my power because, like, you never know when that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been in a situation where it was reversed, where you were that person that they didn't look out for, and you in that room now, and you're like, I'm here. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah. How does that make you? Like, how's that? What's that feel like?
Bro, I'll tell you this, man. I'm not going to say no names, but it's even been worse. Not is it, oh, you could look out, but you didn't. I've literally watched people throw shade in our early days, like, just not understanding what we up to, like, not giving niggas grace. Like, I remember there's a time we threw a show and we put a couple people from Jersey on the lineup, and all of a sudden everyone's like, they say they wreck Philly, but they wreck Jersey. They just tweeting crazy, like, little shit, right?
Good grief.
People just hating.
What do you say, oh, brother?
Oh, brother.
You feel me? Like,
the rest.
Dumb shit. But now some of the people who are literally going crazy on Twitter with the Twitter fingers come to our events all the time. They be like, yo, Will, what's up, bro? I'm so proud of you, man. I knew y'all was always going to level up. And I got to just be like, word, bro, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Like,
yeah.
Because I'm not that bull who now I know too much to be like, nope, you burned your bridge, stay over on that side. Like, nah, I'm not gonna gain nothing from that. But also now with the influence I have, if I got decisions to make where it's like, yo, I want to work with this person or that person, people don't forget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to hold that the same way I got to hold my L with Aaron. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But Aaron, if you see this, John, look, my bad, yo.
Facts. We'll make sure we don't tag and we post the clip. My bad, yo. But let's get into the $1 million question, or should I say $2 million question?
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Recently, as we know, a big name in the culture by the name of Shann Diddy Combs and Combs Enterprises.
One of the biggest.
If not the biggest.
One of the biggest.
Invested $2 million into Rec so they can expand to Rec Miami.
Yes, sir.
That's great news. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you, bro.
So the first thing I want to ask is, before you got to that point, when in your business did you know, all right, now's the time to expand?
Word. Man, y'all got fire questions. So when did we know it was time? So I'll tell you this. From the jump, we knew we wanted to build something that could go to other cities around the world. But I think the thing that helped us understand that it was actually time was two things. One, we felt like we were hitting our stride on giving members the experience that they needed to have, right? Like we saw people's lives changing because of the product, right? So it was like, okay, cool. We're starting to get a little bit of a product market fit here. And then the second thing was we learned a lot during COVID. You know, COVID,
Did we all?
You know, that's a fact. We learned so much during COVID, and I think there was a real shift and almost like a speeding up in the creator economy and where it was going. And I think because we were in COVID, a lot of people started to second guess the false sense of security that they felt like they had before the pandemic, right? Everyone who had a government job who was like, yeah, I got the security and I'm safe out here. You was at home just like your rapper homie was at home. You know what I'm saying? Like
down abysmal.
You know? So I think that helped people be like, yo, like, what am I really doing? If shit hit the fan, if I'm not doing what I'm passionate about, am I really going to be happy with my career choice?
Absolutely.
So I think people started waking up, and it was like clear for us that, yo, this revolution is happening, and it's not just happening, but it's like here, and we need to make sure the model is waiting for people as they're transitioning out of these bullshit jobs and actually trying to do what they want to do for a living. I think they deserve our model. So that helped us kind of just know that it was time to speed up.
No, that's a fact. And then after you guys knew it was expand, what made Miami the destination of choice? You know, there's all these hubs that are booming up. Like you got Austin, Texas.
Yep.
That's booming. Miami's obviously one of the hubs. Obviously, you got the Silicon Valley. You could probably put some stuff out there.
Oakland, what up?
Yeah, all those places. What made Miami? All right, this is our destination number 2. This is where we want to be.
Yeah, I think so. Our whole philosophy is we want to go to places where there's tons of culture, tons of talent, but aren't the first industry towns you think of. You know what I mean? So Philly is that, you know, so it's a blessing that we're from here. Miami is that as well. So for us, it was like short list were some of the cities that you named. It was, yo, we could go to Miami, we can go to Atlanta, we should go to Chicago, right? We can go to places like Portland, right? And things like that. But for us, two things. Actually, 3. 1, Miami and the energy that's moving to Miami right now is undeniable. You know, from a startup perspective and business perspective, their government is doing so many things to even incentivize business owners to move their companies there. The second thing is Miami has this international visibility that Philly, unfortunately, just does not have yet.
Right.
You know, so like people are always traveling from everywhere in the world to Miami.
Yep.
So knowing that we want to be building an international business, I thought it would be brilliant for us to have that visibility. So when someone from, you know, Brazil or from Accra, Ghana, or from London goes to Miami and sees the rec model, I want them to be like, dang, I need this where I'm from, right? So I felt like that it was a strategic move in that sense. And then third, you know, as we got further down the line with the Puff deal, you know, it was clear that he also had a deep interest in Miami. And I think all those worlds kind of like came together to make it make sense.
That's
Timing, huh?
Timing is everything. Bro.
Immaculate. How did those conversations go? You said Puff had an interest in Miami.
Yeah.
Did you guys bring that to him? He's like, all right, I want to do this too, or was it like, all right, now you had a different location in mind, and he's like, all right, I think we should do X, Y, and Z because this is what's going on.
So the way that whole relationship kind of built was really a testament to relationship building. First off, just like doing that whole thing. So long story short, I met a woman named Lindsay Riebling who works at Revolt. She's the head of strategy and insights. Had her on a panel during the pandemic. We hit it off. She was like, yo, this is crazy. You should know Tariq. And I'm like, cool, who's Tariq? She goes, you don't know who Tariq is? You're going to love him. Connects us. Turns out Tariq is the president of Combs Enterprises. He essentially just runs all of Puff's businesses, all the ones under the umbrella. Tariq also happens to be from Southwest Philly.
Oh, wow.
That's
You feel
crazy.
me? So as soon as we get on the line, he already got it. So, like, when he understood, yo, we came from 9th and Dolphin and 9th and Market in the gallery, like, he knew what that meant. You know what I mean? So there was already a camaraderie. And then he immediately was like, yo, Puff has had this vision for a space where creatives can be, where he can tap into creative energy. We're thinking about building it. We're wondering if you guys want to consult us for how to build it. And we're like, not really, but we could partner up and we could do this together. And together we could do it better than either of us could do it independently. And then also, fortunately, shout out to our guy, Frank Santella, who's also from the city, went to Temple with Dave. He went from being low man on the totem pole, Puff's assistant, to now he's literally Puff's music manager day to day. So he had the positioning to, after the deal kind of started to be possible, to help us kind of like push it along. But in short, Puff already kind of wanted to build a creative space. So when he finally got to see us and understand the model and the traction we had and our whole philosophy on the future of it, it was like, oh, this is a no-brainer for us to just bring this all together.
Did he come here?
Who?
Puff.
Puff has not been inside Rec Philly yet, but Tariq has, and Jay Lundy on their investment team, and all the other right folks. But don't worry, Puff will be here.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, that's crazy. The next thing I want to get into is what was the reaction when the announcement was made to the public, like Diddy's about to invest in Rec Philly? That's a big name in our culture. You know what I'm saying? It's a big name as being black man.
Yeah, not even about to. The announcement was he already did.
That he did.
Yep.
How did that feel? And then what was the like? What kind of like reception did you get for it?
Yeah. How did it feel? Man, I mean, a dream come true. You know, we've been working hard, bro.
Word.
We've been working hard.
Word.
So it's like, it was a beautiful checkpoint and moment of affirmation. You know, when you really just grind and getting it out the mud and figuring it all out, like, we could keep doing that. But the thing about having a mentor, or the thing about having someone like Puff and the Rolodex he has, is there's things that they can move out of your way that you don't even see, right? There's doors they can open that you didn't even know was there. You know what I'm saying? And then also just as, for me personally, as a young boy who literally grew up listening to him, watching him as like the creative entrepreneur, right? Like, it just meant a lot, you know, because I was the kid who in high school and in college, I'm talking to the homies like, yeah, one of these days I'm going to be in business with Puff and Russell Simmons and all this. So to be able to really materialize that, man, just meant a lot, you know. Again, even just for self, like, I said I was going to do this. I said I was going to play at the highest level, and here we are, right, being recognized, you know, and supported by folks at the highest level. So, you know, I played that Jack Harlow song, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know the joint he got with Lil Baby. I'm the man in my city. So I had to play that a couple times. But yeah, man, that was just a blessing, bro. Like, and again, I'm more excited for what this means impact wise for who we serve now, who we get to serve later. And then the last part of your question was like, how was it received?
Yeah,
it's lit, bro. Like, I see the energy has shifted in certain rooms I'll be walking in. You know what I'm saying? But more importantly, when that news dropped, bro, we had government officials from cities around the country reaching out, like, how do we make our city one of the next cities, you know? And
that's crazy, bro.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
Literally, you know, council folks from Nashville, like, yo, we love it.
Nashville's on the up and up.
Yep.
Bro,
That's crazy.
Our model
bro.
is going to go crazy there, bro. It's you know,
Nashville's on the up and up, man.
And so there's places like Nashville, but also I'm impressed by places like that aren't as on the map, like Tulsa.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of
stuff happening in Tulsa right now. There's a lot of stuff happening out there.
Absolutely. So there's something to just be felt when, again, you're like, yo, eventually we're going to have these cities all around the country and all around the world. But when then people come to you,
it's different,
to be like, what do you need? It's a whole different energy, man. So I've just been really, really grateful. And also, like, shout out to the city, because Philly has really, like, embraced us in, in a real way. And that really means everything. So it's been a beautiful thing.
That's great. Did Diddy give you bottles of Ciroc complimentary?
Ciroc, you a Ciroc boy?
He didn't. I'm definitely a Ciroc boy.
So he gave you the exclusive stuff. I know he did.
Oh, he definitely sent some care packages, Ciroc, and
Love
also
it.
De Leon.
Yeah.
Dang, I need
Like
the
my
De
favorite,
Leon.
my favorite right now, like people on the regular Ciroc, but people sleeping on the Ciroc VS. It's a
The
cognac.
Oh,
the
really?
VS goes crazy.
Crazy.
I gotta
The VS
try
is
that.
Yeah,
nuts.
he said really.
The
I gotta
VS
try
is
that.
nuts.
Top tier.
There's a question that I want to point out based on what you're talking about, like doing the work and getting the stuff that you need for the people in the city, for the community, and things of that nature.
Yes, sir.
Everybody realizes that once the announcement was made that Diddy invested,
Yep.
that's big news for Rec.
Yep.
But what you know, what Dave knows, what the staff knows is now the work begins.
Oh, straight up.
So my question to you is, how do you ensure that you get the proper resources, not just in the cities that you're in now, but for the cities that you're going to the future? And how do you avoid ending up like a company like, say, like a WeWork or something like that, who their model was really, it was good, but like it didn't withstand what it needed to withstand because they didn't go about it the right way?
Yeah. One of the advantages we have over a company like them is it was actually really hard for us to raise money. You know what I mean? A company like WeWork, at least when I watch the documentaries and I do the due diligence of how they built, you know, they got access to a lot of capital really fast.
Yeah.
Even before they actually had real traction. And the danger in that is now you gassed up and you doing things that isn't really like based off of the evidence of what your customers want or need, right? For us, it was really hard. So, like, it gave us the opportunity to really make sure what we were building was what people wanted and needed, you know?
Yep.
So right now, you know, the way I think about it is, like, my job is, and then Dave's job is to make sure that we keep making sure the resources are in the tank for us to go where we need to go and do what we need to do. So I spend a ton of my time doing that. Really, all I do these days is, like, not all I do, but all I do now is make decisions and build relationships. Like, that is really kind of the crux of what I do. But I think, again, for us, because of where we come from, again, less than 5 years ago, I was homeless, bro. You know what I mean?
Talk about it.
So, like, when you have that perspective of, like, yo, I was actually living in the warehouse where Rec was started, to now, I'm still hungry. Right. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get this deal done and be like, all right, now it gets easier. No, we got the deal done, and it's like, yo, we know that now is where the real work comes in. Because, again, a little bit ago, it was just me and Dave, top dogs, right? As far as, like, accountability. We only looking at each other, right, as the owners of this business. But now we got, you know, again, one of the most successful black businessmen on the planet, one of the most successful businessmen on the planet, period, as our partner. So it's like a different level of accountability. You know what I mean? My business partner has seen it all and done it all, right? So now, and that's helpful because I get to learn, but I also, there's a new person that we get to have real conversations around business decisions with. And I think that just makes us better leaders.
For sure.
You know? So I kind of lost sight of your question a little bit, but I think in all, it's like, to the public, we've done so much. Yeah. But in my mind and where I know we're going to go, we are literally probably at, like, the top of the third inning in this journey that is Rec, you know? So I think,
a lot of time.
Yeah, man, me and David are oldest people in our company, and we're both 31. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Future is bright for sure.
yeah, so that's it. And also, we just know the opportunity. It's like, we got where we are now, not knowing nothing, not knowing nobody, not having nothing. So the fact that now we have relationships, we have some capital and some resources, we got relationships and all that, it's like, man, sky is really the limit.
Absolutely.
No, definitely. And then the last thing I want to say about that is, like, what can we expect next from Rec, and then what can we expect next from you when it comes to you, Will Times as Will Times? You feel me? We seen you got a couple brand deals. We see you do things on you say you're more active on the socials, podcast, in and out, more press. Like, what can we expect going forward?
Yeah. So for Rec, man, first, you're going to see a lot of how we're going to level up by leaning into this partnership we just created, right? So shout out to all the fam over at Revolt. You know, we have some things building up in partnership with Revolt that we're really excited about. Obviously, Rec Miami comes next year, so there's going to be a lot of just getting that going. Grand opening is going to be crazy. Trying to get as many of our Rec Philly members down there for the opening and all that. And then you're going to see me personally traveling a lot and just know we working. You know, it's not vacation in all these different cities, but, you know, for us, it's about really planting these seeds because Rec is coming to where you are. So wherever you listening at, you know, let us know because we coming.
Yo.
And then for me personally, Man, I'm focused on one, taking care of myself. You know, so I can continue to run this marathon. But what comes with that has been, I've been blessed to be able to build this personal brand. I'm gonna keep the brand deals coming. I've had a lot of interest for a personal podcast of sorts. So
Talk about it,
you know, that might be a thing. I got more books in me, I feel like, you know, so I'm excited to be able to continue to share the information I'm learning in real time with folks. What else? Like, it's a lot, bro.
Yeah.
We do a lot. And also, I got to just take a moment to shout out some of these projects, too. Like, some of my favorite projects that we do at Rec, and we still are kind of quiet about some of this stuff, but, like, there's a lot of projects we're doing in partnership with the city that are really impactful.
That's major.
Did you just do something with the Eagles?
Yeah, man. Dang, that's crazy. There's so much we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shout out to the Eagles. We just work with, we are working with Jason Kelsey, who is a future Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
On the
6-0
Eagles.
major Bears fan right here.
Let's go. 6-0 Birds.
Yeah, you
We
know
out
the
here.
vibes.
Shout out to my Eagles.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we got a client in Jason Kelsey. We just helped launch his Underdog brand. So, shout out to that whole team. His whole team for Underdog, I'm really proud to say, is like a whole squad of Rec members, you know, from the strategist to the person who designed the logo and all the designs on the T-shirt to the social media manager to the models. Like, that's a real Rec thing, which is a blessing. And I believe on day one of launching that brand, he made about $150,000 in sales, you know, thanks to the support of our whole squad, which was dope. So there's that. But then the city partnership I was mentioning is we have a project called Making Space. And in Philly, we're a city that has a bunch of neighborhoods that have community centers right next to almost like every basketball court. But a lot of them are underused. So we were able to partner with the city to get them to turn over a few of those that we can redevelop into entrepreneurship hubs.
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And we're going to support local entrepreneurs to not only have access to that space for up to 3 years rent-free, but we'll also be giving up to $75,000 in funding for any of those entrepreneurs to build out the business. So for me, man, I'm really excited by and motivated by projects like that because, like, I know what it feels like to be a young entrepreneur and need capital like that.
That's paying it forward right there, bro.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So things like that are exciting for me because, like, I'm just looking at it as the blueprint to what we get to unlock as we go to cities around the world.
That's what's up.
Definitely, man. You got anything else for him?
I mean, I just want to say, bro, I mean, it's an honor for us to be sitting here, bro. For me personally,
appreciate y'all.
to see somebody that's like literally our age do what you do, if you can't be inspired by that, then you just ain't never gonna figure it out. You know, I don't know.
That's a fact.
You know, if you can't sit in the presence of all of us and be inspired to in whatever field you're in to go on and just go get the shit. You know, just go figure it out and go do it. Then I just don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? So thank you for your time, bro. We appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it. Anything else from you, Mus?
No, I don't got nothing. I'm just appreciative that I'm a sentimental guy, so I always say something sentimental. But I appreciate it because, like, as black men, like, we don't get to see a lot of role models outside of like entertainment. Yeah. But what I appreciate for you is that I feel like a lot of times black men do have a lot of imagination. They do have a lot of creativity. And what I do appreciate about someone like you, one, is that you are like a role model for those black men or those little black boys that do have creative ideas and they want to feel like they want to be the next Will Toms. You know what I mean? It's number one. And number two, just the fact of like you're giving these black boys the ability to manifest their imagination because in a lot of times we kind of get pigeonholed into one thing or another. And for you to open up this space in Philly, you know what I mean? And to obviously open up to Miami as well, just working with another black man, it's beautiful. And I really do appreciate you.
My guy, I received that, bro.
That's dope.
Can I just talk my shit for like 30 seconds?
Yeah,
Facts.
Maybe like 60 seconds?
Do whatever you got to do. You got time.
All right, so look. So first off, I appreciate what you just shared, man, because I think that's like one of the things that motivates me. And I think too often people who should be looked at as role models are afraid to embrace that title.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So for me, I'm one of the few people that I feel like I'm down to take that title because I'm down to bear the responsibility and the discipline that it takes to be like, yo, if y'all looking for a role model, look at me.
Facts.
Because I remember who I was looking up to when I was a young boy. You know what I'm saying? And like I wished that there were more me's. My role models were on TV. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Again, the Puffs, the Russell Simmons, and all those folks. So, like, I thank you for that. And I think it's so important, man, because I don't think you can't be what you can't see. So if
That's a fact.
You feel me? It's very hard to be what you can't see. So if, like, my whole legacy, when it's all said and done, is, like, I was just a role model for what's possible, then now I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Because I think that's probably the most impactful role that I could play. So there's that. And then the other piece is like, I'm going to just say, man, for all of the young black men out here and the young black boys out here, embrace therapy. I'm going to look right into this camera as I say that.
Say that again. You know what I'm saying?
Embrace therapy. I promise you, it'll change your life. And I think we just as a community, we're still early in this conversation.
Facts.
But I know for me as a businessman and as just a black man, period, my life changed when I did that work. And I specifically did that work right in the middle of fundraising. And I saw how I showed up, and it was like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say that because we carry a lot as black people. So if you're like, yo, I'm stuck, I'm trying to figure it out, embrace therapy, yo. Love yourself, love people, and go to therapy.
Facts.
That's
Definitely.
I'm going to wave that flag.
Yeah, we're gonna close it on that. And once again, you can follow Will on social media, on Instagram at the Will Toms.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Tap into all this content, great insightful
content.
stuff. You can follow us at Face of the Future Pod. Once again, this episode is brought to you by MBT Network. Follow us on Instagram at MBT Media, on Twitter, MBT Media. Click that big red subscribe button on whatever platform you listen to. And give us a follow, give us a review. Keep engaging with the content that you do with us on all our social platforms. And once again, it's episode 99 of the Face of the Future Podcast. It's your boy, Millz.
It's your boy, Shann.
It's your boy, man, some Mus.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh, my God. Is that the Faces of the Future?